Okay, I'm working on my 2007 Pontiac Vibe here. Had the check engine light come on, and I checked the codes, and I have a P0455 evaporative emission system, and it's detected a leak. And we also have a P0441. And these, I think, kind of go hand in hand. Now, the first thing that I was prompted to check, which seems to be quite common with these, was the fuel cap. So I checked it out, and you can take and look at your cap, and I mean, the seal and everything looks pretty good on here. You know, visually looking at it, I don't see any problem. I smelled around the cap and really didn't smell much fuel at all. Now the thing is, this has kind of affected the gas mileage a little bit with this leak here as well. Now, when I started to inspect some other things, I checked the component up here that holds the vacuum, and I also looked at some other stuff, and then I come back here and decided to look at the tank itself because I was worried about, you know, a leak in the tank. So I got it up on some ramp, just backed it up on these ramps so we could get under here and actually look at this thing. And when I kind of bent down, I could smell the fuel really strong down here. So I came to the back, and it's dried up now, but you could still see a little bit of the leak right there. You can see a little bit of the gas residue. Now, when I looked at this thing, I could tell that it had been leaking around this tank, and there was gas on it after driving it. So that was kind of scary. Now you can see I just put some tape on there for now. I haven't been driving it, but I'm going to take that that tape off, and there is a cut in this line right here. I don't know how it got here. If something that, you know, flew up there and hit it or what. It's just really odd that it's like got a cut or a split right there, and I'm going to show you that. Like I said, everything else looked good, and that was the only spot that I've seen. So if you're having, you know, if you get the same code, you want to definitely get back here before you go to replacing a lot of stuff and check these lines. Check all of these lines out and make sure that these fittings, you don't have any leaks here. Make sure that your charcoal canister is good, and just take a look at all that stuff. But you know, luckily it's right here where it's pretty easy to get to. And I'm going to go ahead and take that tape off, and I'm just going to show you what the nick looks like. And you can see it's got a connector right here. It's got some push-in tabs, and it's got also a locking piece on that, you can see. And then the other end actually goes into the tank. Let me see if I can just show you. Okay, and you can see that red part right there, and that just screws like down into the tank. It's like made into the tank there. So what we're going to try to do, because I don't know, I've looked and you can't just find these little replacement lines without going to the dealer. I'm going to try to see if I can find one at the salvage yard, but in the meantime we're going to try to patch it up. Okay, so I removed that tape. Now immediately I can smell fumes, and you can see the condition that it's in right there. I said, I don't know what happened to it, but you can see how it's clearly just split and almost like it's been cut or something, and that was leaking out massive amounts of fuel vapor and leaking gasoline. So and you can see the residue under here. So definitely it's a good thing it throwed the check engine light. So we're going to try what we're going to do, at least until I can get a replacement hose for this and find one. I'm going to temporarily fix this. I'm going to be using some gasoline rated hose that you can pick up at the parts store. I got this stuff from AutoZone. I'm going to show you what it looks like here. Okay, so I picked up, this is only like $1.99 a foot, and I picked this up, like I said, from AutoZone. It is a 5/16 diameter, inner diameter there, and I determined that that was going to work the best for what I need. Said I got a little bit extra, but I wanted to make sure that I had enough, so I got 3 foot of it. And then we got some small clamps, these little screw type clamps. It's like a quarter inch screw on there. You can also use a flat head, but we're going to be using a couple of these. So we're just going to get started with this. I'm going to get under there, and I have to basically cut and do some splicing, but we're going to go ahead and get some cutters and get started with this. Okay, so just got a utility knife. We're going to get up here, and I've determined that we're going to cut it just right there in front or to the left of that cut. We're going to cut, you can see how it is kind of smooth there. It's not the corrugated part, and we'll be able to slip our hose, our 5/16 hose, over that and get a clamp on it right there. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to cut it right there at the end of that corrugated part. Now, as far as the other goes, you can see right there where it also, the corrugated part of the flex line stops and it gets kind of smooth again. So I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to cut it right there. So basically we're just going to take this piece out. It's not even probably 6 inches or so here, and I'm going to go ahead and cut this section out. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then it'll make sense. Okay, so there's that section removed, and here is that piece, and then I cut it right there. So we just cut that section out of the equation, and I've got, like I said, a 5/16. I know it's going to be nice and snug going on here, but we'll get it on. We may have to put a little bit of grease or something on it to get it to slide on easier. Just a light bit of lithium grease. But we're going to go ahead now and cut us a piece a little bit longer than this, because we have to slip it on there. So we're going to cut it just a little bit longer than this piece right here now. Okay, so there's our piece of line, and now we need to go ahead and put our clamps on each end before we get ready to slip this into place. Okay, so there we got those into place and just scooted them back a little bit. And of course, this is the natural bend of what came off, so we're just going to place it on that way. So we're ready to go ahead and crawl under the car and try to slip this into place now. Okay, now I've pulled this over here in front. It was behind that bracket just to make it easier to slip this hose on. You'll notice there's some small rings around here, and it's perfectly fine, except it's going to make it a little more difficult to slip on. So what I've took is a punch here that's just slightly bigger than that diameter, temporarily stretching this hose because I want to try to slide it up at least a good inch or 3/4 of an inch. I want to at least have that much, so I'm going to try to get it up to here if I can. So that's how I'm doing it, stretching it temporarily, and then we'll pop it on here. Okay, so we've pushed it up to about that ring. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. That's about 3/4 of an inch. So now we'll go ahead and secure this little clamp right here, and then we'll slip this whole thing back behind that brace and work on getting it onto that one right down there. Okay, so now I'm just going to tighten this up with this little bitty ratchet about right there, and this will make a nice tight seal. Okay, so we've got that plenty tight, so now we're just going to work it back behind the bracket back there and try to get it onto our other part. Like I said, by the time this is tightened, this is going to be the hose is already snug, and it's going to tighten down. Even though those rings are there, it's not going to be able to get past that when it's tightened. So it's going to make a nice tight seal. Okay, now we're taking our punch and just doing the same exact thing. We're going to temporarily stretch that for a moment. See, notice I put it back behind the bracket, and we're going to go ahead and work it on once we get it stretched for a minute. Okay, and there's that into place. You can see that it pushed on there really well. And we're getting ready to just tighten that final clamp right there, and then that'll seal this. Okay, so come in here and pulled the codes back up just to show you. It shows 5 of them, but one of them's like pending, one's confirmed, and they're all basically the same thing. I mean, there could be another issue, but the odds are kind of small. So we're going to go ahead and go back, because you'll have to erase these codes out of here. And we'll drive it a bit. It takes a while for it to come back anyway, so we'll have to drive it for a bit and just see what it's going to do. But if I quit smelling gas, it'll be a good sign. Okay, so that's going to conclude this video. I will follow up in the description as I get more information, but just going to have to drive it for now and see what happens. But like I said, I hope it's been helpful. Definitely, if you're having an issue, you smell gas, take a look at that back there. I'm sure if it happened on one, it can happen on others. Maybe rubbing on something that I don't know, don't really know. But anyways, hope you found it helpful. If you did, please give it a like and share. And as always, I invite you to subscribe. Thank you for watching.